you're able to just effortlessly weave this over this chord progression. What is it, like D flat, E flat? I mean, you have a lot of major triads moving by whole steps in a couple different patterns, I believe, and that's easy for you.
No, it's not. It's not easy
It
at all.
sounds easy for you.
It might sound easy, but
it's
there's
extremely difficult to do, though.
Well, I mean, you use the term effortless. No, believe me, I've spent like a lifetime trying to get to the point where I understand so that I can be. You know, to me, it's like that. It's like, okay, the stuff that I can't do, that's what I want to work on. I don't need to work on what I can do. And most stuff I can't do. So a bridge like that, it's like, I'm going to write something like that because I can't do that. Over years, you know, and hours and hours and hours of working on it, I've kind of gotten to the point where I can do it. And also, it would be pretty hard for me not to do it now. Like, I can do it because I can do it. Well, but it wasn't effortless at all.
Your idea
it's
flow
really hard.
on the recording on Travels, your idea flow on the bridge every time is phenomenal, and that's one of my favorite solos.
Wasn't that way the first time at all. Believe me.
That's one of my favorite solos of yours too. The melodic development throughout that whole thing starts on the C7 sus, then it goes down to the F sharp major 13. The juxtaposition of that in the A part, and then the moving triads in the B part. It's a very challenging song. It's a very satisfying song when you're playing, when the ear hears those things, especially when you're killing it. All your ideas are so well developed in that solo and on that.
You know, you've touched on a couple things leading up to this that I'd just like to go back to a little bit. One is we're starting on melodic development and all that, which is this is related to too. And then you kind of got to rhythm.
Yes.
The time thing is as much as I can talk about melody and love to and explain its mystery to me and all that, and as much as I love talking about whole, major chords moving in whole steps, and as much as I
great feel, if you can't play in great time, I know that you can play anything if you have great feel. Jerry Bergonzi, when he plays, he can play anything, doesn't matter, all wrong notes. Well, it doesn't sound like, they all sound like right notes. Because it feels so good, right?
And I think that's something universal to all music.
Yeah.
It's got to feel good.
Anybody that has great feel can play anything, pretty much.
And lots of times, I mean, I have to say, when I, have the, really, it's a privilege for me to hang out with young musicians and talk about music and then hear them play. In almost every case, the guy who wants to talk about playing outside and, like chromatic this and all that stuff, it's like, great, let's play some quarter notes. Like, can you play, a bunch of good quarter notes?
Right.
And usually there's some work to be done there. Because if that's not happening, all that other stuff doesn't really do a thing.
Right.
And, our general area of music, it's kind of easy in a way to focus on some of the superficial aspects of it because we can kind of talk about them and they're fun to talk about and there's magazines and all that. But the basic stuff is the basic stuff.
Yeah.
And that doesn't ever really change. And the most important thing, you said it, is feel. I think you even got some videos on that, right?
Yeah, that's feel is everything.
It's everything.
It's everything.
All the rest you can fill it in.
Right, and it doesn't matter. You can play any notes. Yeah. If it feels good, any notes work.
Yeah. My middle son, Jeff, is an incredibly great guy. He's an amazing guy. He's one of my heroes in life. And, he's been around musicians his whole life, and he could be a musician, I think, if he wanted to. He's got other things on his mind. But, he's been around Charlie Hayden and Christian and, great Steve Rodby, great bass players. He doesn't even remember, but he's been like on the floor next to Charlie and stuff. So he got interested in bass in high school, got an acoustic bass. He has like the feel. And I'm like, if you practiced like 5 minutes a day, I could almost hire you. But he doesn't, it's like, but he's just kind of playing like, I don't really know what notes, he kind of does. He actually is now trying to fill it in. But it's like that thing that he can do, it's like I can work with that.
Right.
But I've run across guys who can play all this stuff, but it's like, that feel thing isn't there, and the feel is the thing.
Well, that's the thing. Going to Charlie, when Charlie's playing, not only does Charlie had incredible feel, but Charlie could make anyone. Nothing was ever really free with Charlie playing because he would always play the right things under whatever Ornette was playing, whatever you were playing. It didn't matter. There was no free with Charlie. Charlie's ear was so good and his feel was so good.
Nothing like that.
Nothing like it.
Nothing like that. Who else could ever play basically the root and conjure up infinity? Charlie.
Right.
He owned infinity.
Yeah.
And I mean, he was my best friend.
Yeah.
And, I still don't know what that is. He would just play, and it'd be like, the sky would explode.
Well, one of the best gigs that I ever saw, I mentioned to you, was you at the Village Vanguard with Charlie and Billy Higgins. And playing with them, especially since they had such a connection, gave you a freedom to play that was I think really unique. That was a unique. I mean, I saw you play with Roy Haynes and Dave Holland. I saw you play with Roy Haynes and Miroslav. I saw you play with, but this was very different. Those two together, I felt your playing was different in a way.
Definitely.
And there was just a different. I don't want to say deeper connection because I don't want to minimize the other two, playing with any of these other great musicians. But there was a connection between you guys that was captured in this particular gig I saw, and I think it's that your freedom to play what you're, just anything over what they're laying down.
Well, we loved each other. We had a lot of fun, that band. And we toured a lot. We did a lot of gigs around that period. It's kind of a shame that the only real representation of it is the record that we made.
And you don't like the record,
okay.
right?
It's okay.
No, okay, so I have to disagree with you on this.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's okay. We were a lot better than it. You heard us.
You were amazing. Oh no, that gig was way better than the record.
Did they even sound the same?
No, it was no different.
Yeah,
no,
see,
no
that's
comparison.
the thing. Is that it just doesn't even. I mean, for what it is, it's sort of okay, but it doesn't represent what that band was.
No, although Lonely Woman is great on that.
That's
is great.
the one I like.
That was great. Story from a Stranger. That tune
cool.
is a great tune. That's one of my favorite tunes of yours, and I love your solo on that is incredible. And the structure of the song is absolutely beautiful.
I guess more just us playing as a trio.
Yeah, maybe the straight ahead songs on there.
That's the stuff that I felt like we didn't get to our thing. And there are a lot of reasons why we didn't. But
I wish you had recorded this Village Vanguard gig because that was
that band
unreal.
was not really represented that well for what it was. And so that's Billy, who was one of the greatest people ever, and somebody that I just miss every day.
Hold on.
So we got 5 minutes.
Oh, you have to change the card. You want to stop it?
Yeah,
Actually, if it's 5 minutes, let me finish this one, and then we'll be on the same topic. And playing with Billy was great, and touring with Billy and Charlie was great because they should have had a comedy show, those two. I mean, they had a 30-year history before, and it was just really funny to be around them. But the thing with Charlie and I was something I know I've never experienced anything like that, and I think it was the same for him. I mean, we come from towns 50, 60 miles apart. We do have a 18-year difference. He was incredibly immature, though, so we were about right in a lot of ways. But on every level, we just could connect. And I mean, there's a lot of overt examples of that, but the one I always point to is on the Josh Redman's record, Wish.
Yeah.
There are a couple tracks at the end of that, which are from the Vanguard, where there's a point where Charlie and I think it's just us playing, we're playing a blues.
Yeah.
And that's the only known example that I know of on a record of what we did, where we would just start going places.
Yeah.
We would stay in the forum, and we would just make up all new changes. So it wasn't like the Ornette thing. It
Yeah.
was this other thing
Yeah.
where we were playing changes, and we would make up new changes all the time.
Yeah.
And I've never experienced that with anybody. And you know, according to him, I think with Keith he had something sort
Yeah.
of like that, and Infinity more, because their thing was unbelievable. But it's a rare thing to be able to just start like, okay, we're going to take this form and we're just going to start messing with it, but we're going to stay in it. And there was that, and then also just the sound thing of Charlie. Like we could just, I mean, it would start to sound like one instrument, you know, when we would play, whether it was electric or acoustic or whatever. We just became this thing together that was, you know, and that's what a lot of the Song X stuff was,
Right.
you know, it's like one of my main motivations for Song X is I just wanted to hear Charlie and Ornette play together again, because they hadn't played together for 10 years at that point. And then I thought, well, I want to just kind of try to get in there so that I'm kind of with Charlie, like helping with that stuff.